Ladies and the few gentlemen that are here, thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come see, get a little bit of knowledge. Barbie's a good friend of mine. When I first came into business, I was blessed to be in the same presence as her. Thank God. She helped me out a lot in personal matters and in business. I learned a lot. I consider her one of my mentors. Not many people I consider that. She is definitely one of them. She's helped me out a lot. This is her sister. She's part of her team. Natalie. Just a little bit of information on Barbie. She's been in the business 14 years, 2006, right? About 14 years. She's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, The Real Deal, New York Times, Curb Miami, Forbes, Robert Report, Mansion Global. She also came out on CNBC's TV show Secret Life of the Rich. She's not listed, not been marketing. No, she's sold in some of the most prestige neighborhoods in Miami: Coco Plum, Coral Gables, Brickell. I mean, what you can think of, she's done it all, from small time to the big time that she's at. She's a big time person. I'm glad you guys came because this is something very, very, very rare to happen. She doesn't like me to brag about her so much, but she is a celebrity realtor. She is. She deals with regular clients, developers, and celebrities as well. So you guys are getting some real good insights on her. If you want, you can start off with a little bit of what you think.
I'm Barbara Estela. I work for One Sotheby's. I've known this character over here. He says he's worked alongside with me, but I grew a lot working at the office. We met, I grew, he grew, so we did this whole experience together actually. And it was a very fun office. But more so than anything, I see a lot of lovely faces, so I want to know, if I can, just a brief, your name, what you do, what area do you work at? Just because since we're in a room, we're all talking together, and I'd like to know everything about everybody. Start with you.
So me,
Yes.
Dennis Bernal. I work with Lifestyle. I'm managing partner with George for the Kendall.
Okay,
And I mostly work at a Kendall area.
good.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer. I work out of the Miami Lakes branch, and I also do marketing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My name is Tess. I'm from Peru, and we started with our team, with Vargas Group, with lifestyle 3 weeks ago. But
wow.
I'm a realtor for the last 4 years.
Okay. What area do you work?
Homestead, for Gables, Homestead.
Yeah.
So you guys work together?
Yes,
Yes.
we're in the same team.
Okay.
I am Pierina, but you can call me P. I know it's kind of hard. I work from Westchester to the south, all the way to Homestead. I started like a year and 3 months ago, but I am a loan officer's wife, so it was kind of time to start in the business. Well, and we joined with the Rivas Vargas Group like around a month ago. Doing pretty well. Really happy here.
Awesome. Great.
She's my guest. I am Myrty Branco with Lifestyle for about a year. I'm a mother-daughter team. This is my other daughter. She's filling the other one's seat today. We were doing real estate in Naples, and we kind of were drawn to Miami, so we moved back, and we've been doing well, and we're happy with Lifestyle, so it's been good. We don't have a farm area yet, so we kind of work everywhere.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Gladys Sosa. I'm from the Kendall office. I've been in the business since July, so less than a year. And I focus more at the south, Kendall, south, Homestead, the south area.
It's a great market.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Bravo Chin, and I'm from the Kendall office. And I got my license in July, and I've been a loan officer also presently now for the last 5 years.
So you were mortgages prior to.
Correct.
Okay. It's a good transition.
Still doing both.
Yeah.
I'm Melissa Sanchez. I work at a Kendall office. I mainly work from home, but
We all do.
when I do go to the office, I go to the Kendall. I had 15 years in banking in the loan department. I ran the department in the Gables, and then I decided to start something different. So I've been here almost 3 years, I think.
So my name is Litza. I work out of the Miami Lakes location, mostly Miami Lakes and Hialeah Gardens. And I'm working with George now, helping him out of the office, and I do the social media for lifestyle. So.
Okay.
My name is Estefania Vasconcelos. I have been doing this like almost 1 year. I'm trying to position myself at the Edgewater water area and Brickell area. My objective is positioning myself at Miami Shores. Is like my main objective. Right now, I'm all around Miami. Yeah.
Great.
My name is Daniela. I work between this office and the Miami Lakes office, and I do pretty much all of Miami and everything.
My turn. Hi everyone, my name is Adriana Lopez. I work alongside Chris. I pretty much started because my boyfriend develops homes in Pinecrest, Sunset, Coral Gables. So I'm pretty much trying to lean into the luxury new construction, but for now I work Coral Gables, Westchester, and pretty much anywhere.
So my name is Maria.
Where are you?
I used to work in lifestyle. And I currently left, but I'm still part of the family, so I still get invited to these events. So we're leaving the other thing on the side. And I'm like everywhere too. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do a year right now in real estate by the end of February. And I mean, I've closed anywhere from like West Palm Beach, Homestead. I had one today in Coconut Grove, so.
We're at
Lo que venga, yeah.
I'm Leslie Marino. Because my other manager's not here, I'm going to say that I'm in this branch.
Yeah. That's why.
So I'm here. As far as work, it's wherever, when that phone rings, wherever it takes me, that's where I'm at. It would be nice if I could just farm somewhere, but it just hasn't happened that way. I've been doing this, it just hit about 1.5 years. So I used to be a dental hygienist for over 20 years almost. So it's a huge change. Huge change. But I love it. And
at least the good thing is you're as personal as you're gonna get. So you already have that part of the business, which is very hard.
no, yeah, that part, that's my favorite part, for sure.
Yeah,
I learned a friendship too.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I love it here, and I've known George for many, many, many years. He'll tell you I changed his diaper. So it's been that long. But that's that.
Well, I'm Mavis Falcon. I joined Lifestyle because of my friend here, Leslie. I've known her for many years. I belong to this branch, and it's going to be about 1 year coming this April that I've joined them. I do real estate part-time as of now, for now. But it's been pretty good, and I'm thankful and blessed because I've learned a lot, and because of her and the push that she's given me, I can't thank her enough. And everybody's great. I love Lifestyle. George is great, and I think I'll be here for years and years to come. Thank you. And I work everywhere in Miami. I really don't have a set area. I mean, this is my area, but anywhere, just.
George, we know you're
So I'm actually not a real estate agent. My name's Ariana. I'm a loan officer with PRMG. We are considered the preferred lender for Lifestyle, so I'm here to represent the whole office on my behalf. I've noticed a lot of you guys work out of the Kendall Lifestyle. If you'd like to take advantage, I'm gonna cheaply sell like that tomorrow. We're having a training there, so it's from 12 to 1. If you guys are interested, we can go. It's basically an introduction as far as who we are as a team, and just an introduction how to talk to clients, how to convert the leads, how to introduce them to your loan officer to get them pre-approved and things like that. So nice to meet you, and I hope to get to work with all of you as much as I can.
I'm Sam. I'm the manager here. I work alongside your character. I've been. I've been doing this for 4 years. I've been with a manager with Lifestyle for 2 years, and I pretty much focus a lot on like warehouses are my favorite thing to sell. But
there's not much to see, so that's easy.
No,
Maybe,
that's why
like,
it's
there's
my
no feeling.
favorite. This is my favorite.
Makes sense.
And I work from pretty much from Westchester all the way to Kendall. I mean, I will take anything else, but that's mainly my main niche.
My name is Shirley. I work in my Lakes office. I've been at real estate for 2 years something. I work part-time. I focus on Miami Lakes, Hialeah Gardens. I had a listing in Brickell, but I prefer Miami Lakes and Hialeah Gardens.
She lives in Miami.
My name is Pablo Gomez. I've been in the business for around 10, 11 months. I'm also a manager like the dentist at the Kendall office. And I go everywhere, wherever, I perform wherever it takes me to sell.
I'm Vanessa. I got my license last week on Thursday.
Congratulations.
Before that, before and now, I also do therapy for kids with autism. That's my main passion. And I'm not doing real estate part-time, I'm doing it full-time, but just got into it, so
When you get to a point where you can, that's the biggest. Well, you know, we've always like pick a charity or whatever your choice. Since you already have that passion, try to get involved in something of that realm, because you already know, and it'll bring you so much clientele. On top of that, you're doing well back to the community.
Awesome.
And then you're my sister.
So I guess. Hi, I was late. Natalia, Estela, Barbie's sister. I actually came from the fashion industry, and I had a store in Design District. Actually, that one was a pop-up, so when I closed it, I had a baby at the same time. So when I closed that up, I went online, and then while brainstorming with my husband that's also in construction, a good friend of ours, which is kind of family too, decided to go into real estate, like a team with my sister pretty much, and her be like our mentor and explore that area. I joined when was it? November?
It's been November.
November. So I take care. I do real estate with her as well, but I'm like the more of the creative side. So I do marketing at the same time and all that.
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you. I know everybody gets like, I know because I hate it. I'm going to put you on the spot. So you see, I took a little bit off of me for a second.
That's how you did it.
So you can start asking me. I know you have a few questions you want to ask me. It's more so like how you want me to direct. You guys can ask me anything at any time, please. But what are the questions?
Gotcha. Right. So just basically, I mean, start, you know, where you started working at, you know, your resume, where you began and where you're at now.
So I started real estate. I started nursing school. Yeah, big mistake. When my mom saw me come home with a stethoscope, she's like, something's wrong. But anyhow, that lasted like less than a year. And I got into real estate, and I got into real estate when Craigslist existed. When actually it was an actual safe way of getting clientele. Now I don't recommend that to anybody. Don't ever do it. Don't follow anything. I mean, bad things happen there. Back then there was no Zillow. There was none of that. I used to have una carpeta. I would upload posts. I would do rentals anywhere from $500 to $1,500 because those are the ones that moved the quickest. I had a printer in my car because back then, and I worked for Keller Williams in Kendall. That's why, you know, the people that work in Kendall, we lived in Kendall, and I worked the whole area. I would go all the way to Homestead. By the time I got to the office, I showed the property, they were already be rented because you guys know in that time frame, anywhere from 2007 to 2010 practically, el que no se estaba comiendo el cable was lying. And you went from making decent money to you have $5 in your pocket. And you had to maintain yourself and all of that. So I went through all of that, which taught me a lot about people. It taught me a lot about drive, but if I would have never gone through that, I would have never gotten to where I am today. So whenever I hear anybody tell me, oh, this is hard, I'm like, oh yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but at the same time, along the way, I learned that the reason I asked all of you, number one, because I got the chair off of me for a second, but most importantly in this business, you learn a lot about people. So you have to like people, you have to like what you do, and it taught me empathy. I was probably, and my sister can attest to this, one of the most self-centered person you will ever meet. It was always about me and what I want, what I did, and life put me in a position that's like, hey, listen, you want to do this? You have to, and believe me, I've been in the worst shoes you can possibly imagine. I've been there, I've done it. So push, push, push. I landed a nice job when the recession finally hit, that all developers were losing projects. There's a project where we ended up living after in Coral Gables called One Village Place. Keller Williams made me interview with this developer. Nobody wanted this project because nothing was selling. And I was getting paid $500 a week plus whatever. They gave me whatever I made. Lord and behold, I sit in that office 3 months down the road, a rich Venezuelan came, said I want all 80 units that are left. And Barbie went from $5 in your pocket to X amount of money. It was a shock at the same time, but again, and I'm giving you the short story, there's a lot of things that happened. Then that client ended up hiring me as their own realtor to resell these units to the market retail. I ended up moving into this place, farming the shit out of this building. We lived there for 4 years. My sister got married there. I mean, how many things didn't happen there? And I kept on pushing. Then I went to work for George at RESF. George helped me a lot. I don't know if you guys know who RESF is. I started going to the gym. One of the biggest things you guys want to do if you want to get into the luxury market, because I knew that's where I wanted to go. And I wasn't raised with a silver spoon. Yeah, we will grow up, but a normal household, mom, dad, divorced. So I started going to the gym where all these people hung out and become friends with everybody. I like to work out. One day in the treadmill, this beautiful lady says next to me, she liked my energy, I liked her energy. We started talking. Guess what? I sold her the first penthouse in the Carbonell for $2.6 million in 2010 when shit was shit, and this seller was so desperate to sell that she paid me 5%. Do the math. At this time, I just turned 30, 31. And then from there on, I used my money to leverage, but I never lost where I came from. I never missed, you know, I know we use a program, a CRM, where you do birthdays and you send emails. I'm actually the realtor that will call you. I'm very old school when it comes to that, because I really come from the old school, even though I don't really look like I'm that old school, but and that's worked for me. We go to go a little bit forward. We do the Tony Robbins. I get invited. At this point, I'm already working at Douglas Elliman. I change every time. By coincidence, by coincidence, we're the same.
Like 2 rows.
Yeah, she
I
went
was
with her
working
company
with the fashion company that I worked with at the time. And our boss, actually, if you guys never done Tony Robbins, by the way, sorry.
I highly recommend it.
But I'm not like, it's not an ad, it's just amazing. But by coincidence, my boss was like, he had already gone, and he's like, whoever wants to go, let me know, $300 each. Which, if you know anything about Tony Robbins, that's like
a steal deal.
A third, yeah. That's like a third, and only a few people were like, I'll go, with VIP, everything. Fast forward, he didn't make us pay because he just wanted to know who was like willing, like, and would be willing to go to this. Anyway, point is that out of, I don't know how many people, it was like 9,000 people. It was a lot of people. In the convention center in West Palm Beach. We happened to be sitting completely different. She's working for Douglas Elliman.
Yeah.
I'm working for my company. We are like, I'm here and she's the white car. I'm not kidding. It was like, it was like,
yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Yeah, it was really
so when we did all that,
going.
it was great. Even though we have some stories on the last day. We get to the hotel room because she was in charge, but that's for another time. When I came back from that, I made sure that I listened to all the, you know, he has like CDs and stuff like that. And there was this $25 million listing that I wanted. And I knew I wanted, and I came into Douglas Elliman and everybody would laugh at me, you're never gonna get that, you're never gonna get that. One day, in my little carrito, put the CD, I just heard him, the focus, and I drove by the house, and I saw a contractor there. I knocked on the door. I had a buyer looking for a $10 million house, so I knew that I was gonna bring him there because that was gonna be my gateway in. I just wanted to know who the owner was. Knocked, gave my card. 5 minutes later, the contractor's calling me, the seller wants to talk to you. Meet the seller the next day, tell the buyer, hey, can you come with me? I need to see this house, Seller fell in love with me. Our energies clicked. Happened to be one of the Bacardi's trustee. 6 months down the road, I get the listing. A year and a half later, I sell it to Mark Anthony. This is just giving you like a big glimpse of, obviously there's a lot of things that go in between. But if I never would have had the confidence, but yet be humble enough, she would have never hired me. Because I would have been, not to mention any names, but we get a lot of calls. I get calls. Why do people want to hire me? Because I'm probably the person that actually asks you, hi, how are you? How are you doing? What's going on in your life? We all have issues. In this business, you want to get into that market and you be empathetic. I tell my team all the time, people, these are people. You don't know what they're going through that day. If they told you off, hey, listen, I'll call you back. So most of my business has been, it's just trial and error. I mean, I failed, but I know every time that I fail, I know something bigger is coming. Because in order for you to be to the next level and get bigger, you have to try and you have to fail. It's a must. There's no secret, there's nothing. Just be yourself. There's tons of different personalities, tons of different energies, tons of different stages in life. Like my sister can relate to moms. I'm not a mom, but I still relate to them. But it's so easy for her to go to school, and talk to the moms about what are you doing. So and try not to be competitive with each other, not in a negative way. And that's really how I got in here. He knows I'm someone that if you shake my hand and I tell you this is your referral, you're getting that referral. There's no ifs and buts. And I'm sure you guys hear a lot of those stories because nobody talks about the back end of the business. But yes, I've been backstabbed a bunch of times and by big agents. And it's led me to people call me a bitch sometimes. Or hey, until you know me, I don't allow you in until I can trust something or allow anything. So that was just a little brief on my career.
Let's get to the questions. Okay. Question number 1.
Yes.
What is the absolute first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
I go to the gym. I get up at 5:45. I train at 6:30. 3 times a week. The other times I get up, I have coffee.
Perfect. Number 2. At what point in your career did you start delegating tasks and hire a team?
It's been
November.
Although I had a partner, I've had a few partners. It's been very hard for me because, again, people, it's very hard for you to trust people. That's why I feel, at least in here, I don't know all of you, but at least the feeling and the energy that you have, I can see why your agents want to come work for you. It's very different, and the higher end that you get, that fake world, it's very different. So you have to be in this kind of environment, and for me, it's very hard to keep that. Even though right now, so it's been hard for me. I've hired assistants. I fired them because I'm not a manager. I couldn't do your job. That's not what I do. I like to go work, make my money, and go home. I opened the brokerage. I closed the brokerage. That was another part of my life, and that's where I learned I'm like, no. And now in November, when she wants to come work for me, it's so easy because this is my sister. I mean,
Said went when you first.
But Said is like family, so I have family working for me. I mean, like we grew up together with who better than her, and it kind of now it's like she tells me, hey, we should do this, and I actually listen because there's no competition or there's no she's gonna take from me. No, we actually gain from each other. We learn from each other, and it's been tough because I mean we're completely 2 different personalities. Yes, ma'am.
So in the 14 years that you've been doing this, you just started hiring last November. So up until this point, you did every single aspect of your transactions
by myself.
Okay.
Let me reiterate that. Not hiring, because you did hire an assistant.
I've had assistants, but they don't last more than a year.
Right.
And when the problem is, I hire them, I ask them to do something. Forget it. I do it myself. And it's again, I said it earlier. I was a very self-centered person, and it's because sometimes I don't know how to communicate, and I'm great at sales, but when it comes to my personal life, like, hey, it's very hard for me to do that, especially since I don't have the mentality of I'm bigger than you, higher than you, a boss, let's say. It's very hard for me to tell you, hey, dude, I feel like I'm bossing you around, or I expect for you to do it because you're in my brain. So it's been that part has been very hard. So I've done it. Even now, I'm like, forget it, guys, it's already done. But it's not because of anything, it's because I want it done at a specific time, and that's just how I've worked my whole career. You know, you have CRMs, you have different things. I've had social media people. That type of help I have, but they're not with me all the time. It's hard.
Okay, number 3. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice the day you got your license, what would it be?
Huh. I would have started a long time ago. I would have started at 19 instead of wasting all that time doing all, you know, working at a mortgage company, doing this. I would have had more properties by now.
Number 4. What would you say is your most successful habit?
My most successful habit, follow-up. Huge on follow-up. It's a must. Everyone tells, by the time I tell you, hey, call Fulanita, they called. You don't call in that gap, somebody else already has called them. Follow up. The moment you were telling me, your friend was telling me that Michael that works in our office, her boyfriend, why is Michael so successful? Michael works 24/7. He's always on that phone. He picks up, another big thing, guys, pick up your phone. That will set you so different from 150 realtors. But then nobody picks up their phone. And if you can't, send a quick text. Can I call you in a minute? Or whatever it is that custom text that you do. Pick up your phone. And sometimes people say, oh, all you do is work. Yeah, but look, when I get home now, I check my emails. When I get up, I'm up and early in the morning, I check my emails. And everyone gets an answer, even if it's quien sea. It doesn't matter because it could be a $300,000.
To follow up on that question, what would you say in terms of your opinion would be a more successful tactic in the sense of either a cold calling for a seller, showing up to the house, knocking on their door, sending them a mail?
Mail outs don't work. If you guys are all new in the business, we used to do a lot of farming in area with sending out mailers. The only neighborhood in Miami, because we did the statistic when I left Douglas Alamo, Coconut Grove is the only one that still reads a newspaper and few areas in the Gables and actually looks at the flyers. I get flyers all the time in my house. I'm a realtor. Waste of money, whoever's sending them to me. Number 1, I don't look at them, I toss them. It's number 2, I'm a realtor. So they're not even doing the homework correctly because they're sending another realtor a just sold or whatever. That doesn't really work. What works right now, the cold calling works very well. You gotta catch them at the right time. And a tactic that I'm starting to use is, you know, the first 3 days when expires come out, wait, because either they're already gonna list or they resigned or whatever, renewed. But if you wait sometimes a week, they've already talked to whoever they're gonna talk to. And you're that realtor that shows up and says, and always have a different type of presentation. Everybody shows up with, again, when you go to a listed presentation, don't say anything, just ask the person how they're doing. It will change so much of your internal meeting. Like, tell me, why are you selling your house? You sell me your house, you flip it back on them. And they're gonna give you, instead of doing that whole thing about yourself, they're gonna give you everything that you need to know about the house. And if you wanna take, at that moment, you're gonna know, do I wanna take this or don't I wanna take this? But sometimes you don't. We have a client that I love her to death, but oh my God, it could be 11 o'clock at night and I have to talk to her for an hour because you become a shrink. You got everything. And again, that's part of being empathetic. So I would say the most effective networking is huge. Networking, if a client invites you, no sé, abrió una tienda de whatever, you go. Or a friend, start talking to people, learn how to work the room. Yes, you have a question? Community events. So what do you huge. Okay. Huge. If you I live in the Gables now. When I moved to the Gables, I lived in Brickell. I farmed Brickell like there was no, I farm wherever I live. That's my farming. I know my neighbors, I know what's going on. I know all the events. I go to the events and you're just there. I don't tell you right off the bat, hey, I sell real estate. For the most part, people already know that that's what I do. But I just want to hang out with you. I want to get to know you. And again, I go back to energy, the personalities. Maybe I don't even, I skip all of that. It's just, hi, how are you? I'm very nonchalant about it. I sell you without knowing that I'm selling. You know what I mean? But yes, that's huge. Community events, bars. I recently did a panel. And one of the questions, everybody's like, oh, I do this, I do that. They're like, where do you meet your clients? I go, at a bar. I go to bars and I hang out. I'm a single woman. Do you have any idea how easy it is? You sit at a bar and you talk to people and they'll either buy you a drink. Once they know what you're doing, they're going to tell you la abuela, la tia, whatever, and you're just, okay. Big on the point of bars.
That's for women only.
No, men can do that too.
You just have to look right.
Charity events are huge. Any type of galas. It's also good for you guys to coordinate things amongst yourselves. Do things like for the community and show that that's what you're doing. Not necessarily because of lifestyle, but because you want to do it. Set a name for yourself. Brand yourself. What is it that you like? You like dogs. You like, human trafficking is huge right now. I've been asked, I don't know how many times to speak. I'm just not ready to speak about it because I've never dealt with it. So I can't really, I've never helped a woman through that. I would love to, and I'm considering it. But I was reached out because of a client of mine is involved in that. So yes, anything you can think of. You remember that we sell a necessity. So every single person needs a roof over their head, whether it's a rental or a sale. Everyone. So it's just making them fall in love or matching them to wherever it is that they're gonna go in life.
Next, what's your most successful marketing tool?
Me. I mean, I would say my marketing tool, honestly, it's my creativity. And I say me because people have called me because of the things that I do outside the box. Like I'll do events that include different things, and I'll market the homes, and I'll go to my clients' baptisms, and I tell you me because literally my marketing is me. I show up. I'm there for whatever it is that you need. I'm there. And then obviously you have the back end of it. I went with a company that had a brand. I travel. To me, marketing is, I do a traveling. I in my office, FYI, I get, depending on the company, you get marketing dollars and that type of stuff. I use most of my marketing dollars to travel. But traveling for business, to go meet this person, meet that person. Because most of the referral sources are going to come from another state for us right now, unless you're doing locally. I was telling this today to my photographer. 900 people move into Miami every day, into our city. They're moving here. So what is the key to get to those people? It's going to be their website, social media, digital. Do videos of yourself. Talk about whatever that you like. And that's the marketing that's working. People want to know about you. They don't care what papel me vas a traer or what magazine you've been in. They want to know that, coño, ayer tuve un dolor de cabeza y me jodí. Simple as that. They just want to know that you're human. That's all it is, honestly.
Question I just thought about.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to selling luxury real estate, what does it actually take to sell a $20 million house? How much money are you spending in marketing? What tools are you bringing to an open house? How are you looking for a buyer? What is all the work you're putting into to make sure you sell it?
Okay, so this is all going to tie in together about the marketing and me going to places. First of all, to market a house like that, depending how long you have, it's going to cost you, if you do it properly, it can cost you anywhere from 10 grand to 100 grand. It depends how you structure it, your relationships that you have with people, banks, huge, title, huge. Send them business, they will help you. You tell them, I'm sure you guys know this. To sell the house, I have really good friends too. I don't know if you guys know this music industry. There's Sony and Universal. Any artist that you see, you have Sony or Universal. So a good friend of mine, Puerto Rican guy, we met through another client and we became really good friends. We happened to go to a concert. It was a Gente de Zona concert. And I tell him, I'm like, man, I have this big house. He goes, Mark Anthony's looking for a house. I said, put me in contact. He goes, I'll put you in contact with his manager. Talk to the manager, find out who his realtor was, brought his realtor in, no, this is too big for him, da-da-da-da-da, she gave me the runaround. A year later, I'm showing her, she calls me about an off-market property that we had on Gables Estates, completely off the record, and we go show him, and I'm like, okay, I had to sign an NDA, da-da-da. As a realtor, I'm having a conversation with him. I'm like, he's like, this house is too small. The garage is not this. I go, but what about Costanera? He goes, Costanera? What's Costanera? It dawned on me that she never told him about Costanera. Obviously, I'm not going to throw her under the bus. So I just said, oh, it's a great house. It's owned by the Bacardis. It has over 11 parkings downstairs. Da, da, da. He goes, I want to see that house. A week later, he came in, showed the house, negotiated like 3.5 weeks later, and then he ended up buying the house. But if I would have never gone to that concert, I would have never spoke about what I had and what I was doing. This guy, I mean, I became friends with this guy, had nothing to do with anything of what I do. He just knew because that day he was recording in the studio with an artist from Universal, and there it came together. So it's all time and place, but more than anything, you be personable. Like I said, people want to know about you, and you know, once he told me he was looking, you're gonna send. That's it. I'm done speaking to real estate. Don't overdo it. So you see how it all ties kind of like together, like all of that.
Please tell me you went back to that realtor. Like,
I didn't have to. I mean, I wish I could, but I didn't have to. Well, this is a two-person, and I know it's a good question. I believe for some, how do you verify your buyers, right? Like, how do you know? Aside from it being a celebrity, or how do you verify? When you from the initial need analysis, how are you saying, okay, this guy's legit, or this guy's wasting my time? It happens a lot, but the first thing I look on is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to give you pretty much at least a run around, or if the person's in business, what business are they in. Wikipedia will tell you if they have any companies. She's great at Google. We have someone that reached out to me not too long ago that I couldn't find him anywhere. And he's reaching out to me about something that's astronomically, like, is this guy for real? This would change not my career, my life. So I text her because he wanted to meet with me. I'm like, you need to Google this. And this person was legit. It's still legit. And we became really good friends. As a matter of fact, friends to the point that this is so high up level that they don't come up anywhere because they pay Google not to come up anywhere. And he told her, he's like, you're never going to find where I'm at. And he is a legit person. So it's very weird. And this guy reached out to me through Facebook. So,
which usually you would ignore.
Yeah. And I never read my messages on Facebook. I think that's antiquated, but for some reason, it was kind of, when he mentioned a few names that I knew, I'm like, this guy must be real. But I still didn't know. I could be a psycho. But LinkedIn, Google, there's a thing called Been Verified. Ladies, if you want to stalk anybody, it's the best way. It's great. They'll give you addresses, emails, phone numbers. I think it's like $19.99 a month, but it gives you pretty much everything about that person. And that's pretty much how I and then I ask if they're cash buyers. We ask for proof of funds. Now we're starting I had a conversation with one of my agents the other day. We need to do buyer agreements. It's huge, because if you don't want to have a buyer agreement with me, how am I going to be committed to you? And then how do I know you're going to be committed to me? And then you're not serious. So then you're going to work with 20 other people. You just have to structure in a way that you're not being offensive. You know. I get this question a lot, and I'm laughing. How do you verify also? And I get asked this, and one of the things I say, but maybe you have more being that you're a woman. A lot of times we're like, oh, the guy's hitting on me, or is he trying to take me? How do you verifying that as well? That happens 24/7.
24. That's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's depends on the person. It depends if they are some of them could be gropey, some of them, you know. But it's my personality is so strong that even though they can be, yo te paro de ask him, you know. Yo te paro de uno y te digo lo que te tenga que decir la cara, te guste o no te guste. I don't give a shit. So it all depends. So that whole thing, girls, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. They will just talk to you. Te llevan a ver 3 o 4 casas, and I'm telling you because I've done that when I was younger. I did all of that. No, he's just trying to fuck you. And I'm like, it's true. ¿Sí o no?
It's true.
Yeah.
She's like,
do you guys go through that? You don't go through that. Oh no, guys.
One time.
They don't care if they don't buy.
Okay. On to the next. What was your most disappointing moment in real estate?
disappointing moment, you have a lot of them. But although I've had a lot of them, and we already talked about the backstabbing and all that, I always find a way, even though it eats me sometimes at night, because that's when you think the most, and that's when also your best ideas come up. I try to turn whatever it is into a positive, and it's taken me years to master trying, and I say trying because I'm not an expert in anything, and I'll never be an expert. I'm human, but it's very hard to change that pattern because exactly that. This person disappointed me. This person did this. I'll bitch about it for 5 minutes. I'll get over it, and then I say, you know what? Either it was taken away from my path for whatever XYZ reason, so it was better for me, and something better is gonna come along. Well, I just didn't need to deal with that. It wasn't good enough for me. So I switch it into like a positive. So, because disappointments you're gonna have every day. You get disappointed walking out here, and the dumbass is like driving, and you're like, shit. You know, it's just switching that pattern to kind of like, because if not, you're not gonna last in this business, for sure. Who you texting?
No, I'm not. Sorry, I got a text message. Okay, next one. Tell us about your worst nightmare transaction and how you got through it.
I don't think I've ever had a nightmare transaction because I honestly love what I do. So I've never had one that I say, and at the end of the day, you got a paycheck. So it's kind of, I've had difficult times, challenging closings, challenging things, but they never been, I wouldn't call them nightmares. So bad, así que te diga, I'm over this. No. But again, you start to pick who you want to work with. As long as you do that, yeah. As long as you start to do that and know how to say no, you're good.
What helped you gain the confidence as a woman to take your business to the next level?
Trial and error. Did it. Aunque me dijeran que no lo hacía, boom, me daba en la cabeza. Okay, great. But I think one of the biggest things is that drives me daily is my family. My mom, my sister, like knowing that at some point, I'm not the pillar of my family, but like kind of like they don't expect me. It's just like I want to make sure that they know that I can do this. You know, when there's 3 of us. My brother passed away, and after my brother passed away, I started changing a lot of things of how I run my business and stuff like that. And one of them was that it's like I told you guys, try it. You fail, try it again. Doesn't mean anything. It's not the end. There's always tomorrow. And you have to fail in order to succeed.
Piggybacking off that, how long would you say it took you to realize to yourself, I'm a boss ass bitch, I can do this?
I still don't think that, honestly.
No, you're a boss ass bitch, so.
But I don't. I did. Let me tell you, when I sold the big house, I did for a minute, and I lost a few friends because of it. No, I didn't lose them. It's just kind of like they called me out on it, and it was like, shit, that's not who I am. Because at the end of the day, you could have all the money in the world, and people could call you a boss, but if you go to bed alone and you don't have at least a person to call or anybody, what good does it do you? Because that's not being happy. That's not being wealthy. You know, wealthy doesn't just mean having money. Wealthy means you are happy with yourself, with who you are, who you become, what your family mostly thinks about you. And right now we have a little nephew that they always tell him, like, can we raise a little man? Like, you know, boys nowadays, like, the dating world kind of sucks for all the single women out there, and you know that. Yeah. Especially if you're successful. No offense. But, you know, that's one of our main goals is, and how do you do that is you follow by example. You lead by example. So I still don't think of myself like that. I used to, I don't anymore. Like, I think everything that I've worked for, I've earned. No me lo ha dado nadie. That doesn't make me a boss bitch. That just makes me a successful and driven person. But if you want to call me that, it's fine.
I've seen her in action. Got me like, oh, she said that.
When?
When I was in the car with you, you got on the phone and you went, oh my god.
But that's different.
Don't poke the bear. Almost had me nervous. Okay, number 9. What is the most challenging part of being a woman in this business?
First of all, taken advantage of. Second of all, they don't take you serious. I'm sure a lot of you go through that. People don't take you serious because either your age. I still get that, and I'm almost 40. Being a woman in this business is a challenge in certain ways, but it is a woman-driven business. Because a woman, no offense, I love you, but when you go show a property, and if you do it with love and care, and you know that property, and you know the square feet, how many, lo que hay abajo la tierra, you gotta know it. And you do that with grace, you can actually put a vision on the other person, because the person usually that's coming to see the house has no clue. They can't see past the kitchen is not redone. This is if it's like an older home, or the room is too small. And women, we have that mother, or that side. Men don't have that. They're just like, this is the room, this is this is that. I don't know if anybody's gay around here, but that's why gay men are very good and successful. One of the top producers in my company is, and you hear him, and it's like a woman serving, showing the house. That's why men are very successful in commercial, because in commercial there's no emotion in the dollar. Yeah. It's just numbers. And you'll notice that what we do, especially in the luxury side, is mostly women. And they'll hire, I would tell you 9 out of 10 times a woman will get hired, for sure.
Let me ask a question.
What is it?
Trying to think. Okay, so there's this listing in Coco Plum, you cold called, you want to sell it, you got the listing appointment. How are you preparing for that listing?
You get the facts. I used to send out another word of advice: don't give the sellers the number or what you think is worth right then and there. Don't ever do that. Get in the door first, feel them out, and see where they're at, and then you give them the information and you start feeding it to them. And they're going to ask you how much you think is worth, because for the most part, they're already talking to 2 or 3 agents that farm an area, and they're going to use your information and give it to the other person because their marketing is bigger. I lost a huge listing to Jill Eber. If you guys know anything about luxury real estate, the Jills are the Jills. My competition was Jill Eber, and I lost it, and the seller was an amazing seller, very nice, and she called me to tell me, you lost it because her marketing is a lot more than you, because she's in Ocean Drive. Mind you, she knows that it doesn't sell, she just wants her. By the way, it's still listed. Still not sold.
Most of them listed.
Okay, I sold the apartment above her, my own buyer, my own seller, and I sold it in 4 weeks. So, but again, I turned that around. I'm like, coño, I lost it to Jill Eber. I must be doing something right. As opposed to like I lost a listing, they're kicking myself in the ass, which I did for a second. But that's basically in that side of the business.
What is your most memorable transaction that you are proud of?
My most memorable transaction that I'm most proud of.
Whether it's the biggest sale, or just the funnest sale, or just it was the toughest sale, and you didn't think you were going to do it, and you ended up getting it done.
Actually, one of the funnest sales that I've ever did was at the boat show, working the boat show. I used to work the boat show, which is another good sphere to do. I have a client of mine that's a boat broker, and he asked me to work the boat show, and then I will hire the girls. The girls will get paid, and I will get paid depending on how many girls, kind of like a pimp. No. But there was a client buying a boat, and my client's, a customer I should say, buying a yacht on a Monday, and he happened to tell him, I'm looking for an apartment, and he told him I did real estate, and 2 weeks later, I sold them a place on the beach. It was a $1.8 million condo, and we ended up celebrating going out on the boat with the family. And actually, that was one of the funnest closings I ever had, because it was so easy peasy, boat, and I love water. And it was something that nobody would believe. That I went to work the boat show, and I came out selling a $1.8 million listing. And then Mark Anthony's was fun too, but I can't talk about that. I mean, we all got locked in the house, pretty much. He was like, nobody's going anywhere, we're closing and we're partying, and we party, everybody party. From the person who did the title, to the attorney, to us. It was pretty fun.
Okay, when it comes to working with whether a seller or buyer that's a celebrity or a well-known big-timer, is it intimidating, or how much more different is it than dealing with a traditional buyer?
I think the more relaxed that you are, the better, even though inside you may be dying. One of the things that I do is if it's a celebrity, I never go dressed up. I'm always in sneakers, cool t-shirt, cool blouse, and jeans. They don't expect that. They expect you to be in your heels, in your suit, in this typical car salesman. And I think in that realm, remember these are all artists, so they don't think like you and I think, and they're all over the place. So you always have to be, your car has to be clean. You have to be organized and be chill. So even though inside I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna meet this person, I talk to myself, I'm like, oh, just chill, he's just another person, he's just another person, he's just another person that makes more money than me. That's it.
Alright, with that being said, I open up the floor to anybody who wants to ask any questions that they've been having in mind.
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
Those were good. Yeah. Good job.
I have one quick question. Time management. How do you manage it? Because you talk to, you're personable, you like to talk to people on the phone. How do you not lose your day? Let's say making calls or going to a bar.
Because I'm always on my phone. I'm always constantly on my phone. And now she got me these things for your ear, those roaches things over there. AirPods. So now it's gonna be even worse. But because now I'm like, I always have my phone and I don't have it, but as soon as I'm done, I check whatever has happened, and it doesn't, people ask me how I do it, and I don't have a formula for it, because Tom Ferry can give you this other person, it's all in you. Because you can very well look at it and be like, ay, no quiero contestar ahora, luego más tarde. Do it now. There's no such thing as later, you do it now. And even if you answer, coño, te contesto más tarde, I'm busy. Or I'm with a client. That's one of my customs. I'm gonna show him, even if I'm getting my hair done. I'm gonna show him, I'll call you back. But sometimes even if I'm washing my hair, I pick up the phone. So wait.
Right, George?
Yeah. George's FaceTime.
She FaceTimes me at 7:30. I hit FaceTime back, and she's in the shower, like washing her hair, and her husband goes, "Yo, what's up? Why are you FaceTiming my girl?" I'm like,
Anybody else with a question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you use empathy a lot? I do as well. I like to read the room. I like to read people. What percentage would you say that you use logic versus, just analyzing the human in itself, the humanity of it?
Well, they're two different things.
They are, but if you put them into
empathy,
play.
logic is you're talking like to a scientist or to a...
No, in the sense like that, you make it more logical, like que le hace más sentido a la persona. Like si tú le explicas como que 1 más 1 es 2, or if you're just like, you hear them out and you read the room and you make it more relatable in that sense. Like it's psychology versus, does this make sense?
Right. That's all gonna depend on the person, on the personality.
Yeah.
And who they are and what they're going through.
Yeah, so it varies on each person.
Yeah, there's no formula. It's just.
But
some people just want to hear, dámelo como es, and this is, and they don't want to know about your day or whatever. So it depends on the person.
Personality.
Yeah. That all depends on how your deal is going for you. That you work a lot with numbers. If that person makes $30,000 and you're trying to tell them they can afford a $500,000 house, so you gotta use a little bit of empathy in a way, but you gotta give them the truth. Because that's the reality.
That's why I asked, because you play with a little bit of both and you kind of see which one will be to your best benefit. Do I want to smoothen this deal by letting them know that, I do care for the situation. I don't see this going any further. I'm looking out for your well-being, for your sake, because you can't afford it. Or do I tell you, Mija, you make $30K and you want a $450,000 house? I don't think it's going to work. So
you have to find a balance. It depends on the person.
Right. Okay.
Some people, you deal with people that really don't care about other people. I deal a lot with that, and I try not to, because they feed off of your energy, and most of the time you give it off to them. I'm very big on energy and spiritualism and all that stuff. You do good, you receive good, but again, to that person, you just give it to them how it is, and bye, see ya. There's no relationship there after that.
We have another question.
How do you deal?
Came prepared. How do you dealing with other agents in regards to, obviously in the luxury world you have a lot of more rude, more stuck-up agents.
It's the same thing.
How do you say you deal with them? Because I remember one thing you told me is a deal works out really good when both agents work together.
Oh yeah.
So how do you go ahead and make sure or at least try to get that other agent to work with you together?
Relationships. We go back to empathy. When you see, you always remember people have kids, dogs. And I know it's hard to do if you have time management in your head and you forget. I forget all the time. But for the most part, when I see the face, I remember. Build a relationship with people. Again, the people that I don't like, I don't work with. I can go, my client will want your house, and believe me, I'm a good of a salesman person that I will not talk shit about the house, but I'll sell you something. Just not to deal with that person. You don't want to be that agent. You want to be that agent that you're pleasurable to work with, you pick up your phone. That's how you set yourself apart. Because if you guys don't realize, Zillow is very big right now. When I was first started in the business, I made a lot of my money through Trulia. It costs a lot of money, but now Zillow is ridiculous, number one. Number two, eventually a platform is going to be built that the buyer can connect the seller automatically online. And then there'll be a mortgage person in the back end on the phone, and everything's going to be done virtually. And that's coming. It's coming, and it's real, and it's going to happen. Especially for the price points from 100,000 to $1 million. When it gets to the luxuries part, it's a little bit different because you need that service. So the way that you set yourself apart is always providing a service. And even if they need an electricity bill done, connected, don't be annoyed by it. Just do it. It takes you 2 seconds or whatever it is, or have an assistant or somebody who's there for you. But that is coming. So, and I got off track with that because people ask me all the time about the Zillow and the things. And to me, it's crazy what's happening in our industry. Eventually, half of us won't exist. So set yourself apart from now and build your brand. Build yourself, brand yourself. That's big, huge.
Sites to generate leads or SEOs.
SEO doesn't work it works, but you have to pay per click right now because there's so many videos and there's so many people that are, YouTube will surpass you. Even though you're coding online, that's not a beat. It will surpass you. Right behind you.
I know.
I
don't even know what that is.
Exactly. So you can do a website, but most of the time you're gonna pay per click. Right now you pay per click. I don't pay per click. I generally make most of my business off of referrals, organically off of referrals, because I've been doing it for so long that people will refer me this person, that person. I even get referrals from agents. Like my friend works in the beach. He doesn't come this way. He's like, hey, you want to split? I'm like, sure. It's your relationship business. Make relationships with people. Call them on their birthday. Wish them Merry Christmas, even though that day te levantaste que you're hungover.
Be that person.
Yeah.
Always be that person.
So you spoke about follow-up. So you spoke about how follow-up is the key of your business. What is your structure? How to follow up with your clients? I mean, you have hot leads. How do you call them? You call them every day, every week.
So,
how do you
know how she's asked me how I did this? I'm a disaster. The most disorganized person on the back end that you will ever meet. Which is the truth. I'm going to speak the truth because it's the truth. My CRM is in my head. They do it on computers and they do all that. So, si yo falto mañana, sabrá Dios lo que pasa aquí. But I always keep in the back of my mind, I got to call that person, I put it in my calendar. I put it in my calendar, I'm like, and then I get a reminder, and I call you on that moment. And sometimes a lot of the things happen. I don't know, when you guys drive, you think. Sometimes when I'm driving, I'm like, shit, I have them set up to call tomorrow, but you know what? I'm gonna call him right now. And at that moment, when I felt that, I'll call and I made a deal.
Energy.
Yep. And there's times that I'm like, ay, no quiero llamar. Fuck it, call now. And the deal happens. So it's all like, for me, it works that way. It doesn't work like that for everybody. So it's knowing how to read the person, if they're bullshitting you or not. I don't know what program you guys use for phone calls, but there's Redex or Zoom, and there's a whole bunch of other ones. That keeps a track for you. So that's great. If you're great on the phone, I'm good on the phone. I don't like making phone calls. But you'll know that if the guy hung up the phone on you, that's not a hot lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all, for me, it works different. Like, I'm telling you, if you see what's behind me, thank God that they're here, because it's not easy.
I have a question.
Yes.
So let's say you have a client and he keeps crossing the line, but he wants to work with you, he wants to close the deal. How do you respectfully stop le das un parón without losing the client? No, I'm asking for myself. No, I'm asking for myself because sometimes I come off too much as a bitch and then I'll lose the client. And I could have worked with him maybe if I would have like handled it a different way. So.
Okay, but I want to know what is. Give me a little bit of.
Like for example, sometimes like they'll say that they want to ask you out on a date, or they'll say a rude comment, or they'll grab your waist, or you know, just something like that that makes you uncomfortable. Huh? Okay.
You gotta earn. They have number one. They have to respect you. I mean, nadie me toca. I don't care who you are, what you do, and I hug everybody. He knows I'm a hugger. I say hi to people. I'm a hugger. But you have to be really careful with that. Body language says a lot. So even though sometimes you might not think, and it happens to me all the time, I catch myself now because I've learned so much. I'm like, oh no, I'm being a little too flirtatious. But we're Puerto Rican, so for us that's a little bit like, oh yeah, ¿cómo estás? So try to catch yourself. You can say, the other day a friend of mine, good friend of mine, George, calls me bebé a lo cariño. I go, a mí tú no me llamas bebé, mi nombre es Barbie. Muerto el pollo. He's a good friend, he refers me business. Pero muerto el pollo, ahí llegó. And he know, like, if you know me and you know my face, that's it, you're not gonna fuck with me. But, it all, again, pero if you're dealing with people like that, you need to find another, because people shouldn't be touching you, period. Not your waist, none of that. It's not cool. There's like a personal space. With you, it's a little different. We've been through a lot.
A lot. Question: when it comes to sellers, as far as pricing a home, do you believe in taking maybe a little bit over price? Do you want market value, or do you want to go for the kill under market value? How do you go about, and especially in the luxury market where you're dealing with unique homes, square foot? How do you go ahead and judge that?
In the luxury market, that depends on the client and the house that it is and how much do I want it. I'll give you an example. Costanera again, I listed for 28 million, I sold it for 18, what I said originally. So it depends, but I wanted that listing. I turned down a few listings the other day that were great in Doral. The client wasn't realistic. I kept on bringing him offers. I was like, this is not what the reality is, so we're done. So it all depends. If it's under $1 million and it's not gonna sell like that, and you want to overprice it, I won't waste my time. I let another agent take it that doesn't have any listings and wants to have listings, and then when they can't sell it, they're gonna fall. That's a fact. Let them waste their money, because it costs money. Just in the door, any listing that you get, you're in $1,000 between pictures, this, and that's just any normal listing. So.
Questions? Wow, you only want to ask a question.
You're so good at this. So your questions are super fun. Yeah, like, keep it up.
Pretty much.
Okay, I have a question. You know how you talked about that you're very personable, you could be at Publix, Macy's, shopping for shoes. I could click with somebody, we're talking about how we like the same shoe and this and that. And then we're talking a 5-minute conversation, and I think, you know, after she left, I could have given her my business card. How do you always make it when you meet somebody? It just happens, they might say something about a property and then you bring it up?
It happens to me all the time. The same thing that happens to you because you don't want to feel like it all depends. So what I try to do is I try to steer the conversation. Where do you live? So you live nearby, you're from out of town. For the most part, if you're in Dayland Mall, every other person is from out of town. So it all depends. So I try to steer that way, and then they ask me, oh, so what do you do? And then I say, I do it here, I'll give you my card. A lot of the things that I'm doing lately is, depending on who the people are, depending on the conversation, I don't even give out my business card. I actually get their phone number or have them write, because by the time they text me your number, they don't even know they're doing it. They're giving it their phone.
Barbara, do you have a do and don't for high net worth individuals? Like if somebody gets with a celebrity, yeah, but a high net.
For just individuals, you have to be sometimes really careful. Like, do not talk politics ever.
Dennis, don't wear your Trump hat.
How was that at
Good. He's still in office.
Okay, we're not gonna get on that topic. I don't talk politics. I never judge a book by its cover. A lot of those people, believe it or not, especially from out of town, they don't even wear a watch. And we in Miami have we're so tarnished by what you have, what you don't have. Most of the time, they wear everything that they own that day to go
Like the
out.
event that we went to
Right, yeah.
yesterday.
Don't ever judge a book by its cover. Don't, if they have a wife, because most of these people come with their wife and kids, you always address the wife. It doesn't matter if she doesn't speak. You
Matter
always
first.
speak to her. You speak, before you even look at him, you look at her first. It doesn't matter. And you make her comfortable with you first. And then, that's a huge one. For the most, I've lost a lot of clients because of that. Because the wife is like, I don't want to deal with that.
Especially with gatekeepers.
Yeah. But it's okay. I mean, they end up sending me business anyhow. If they have, don't give your opinion on a lot of things. When your opinion is needed, they will ask for it. Trust me, they will ask for it. If you're an expert at what you're doing in your area, they're gonna ask for it. So a lot of times, that used to happen to me. I think I told you the story. The Gables has a lot of older homes. I told you I'm spiritual. I've walked into homes that I put a foot, I'm like, oh shit, aquí se murió alguien. And I'm like, oh, be quiet, shut up. But I have to walk this house? Yeah, you gotta walk this house. And it smells like mold. And I will never live there. And these are like $3 million houses, 2.5, and people find them amazing. I'm like, ¿por qué tú vas a comprar esta mierda? But that's one of the biggest things. I had to surpass that. I was like, oh, you want this? And now I learned to be quiet.
What may not be good for you may be amazing for somebody else.
We don't all have the same taste. We're all different people. That's why I tell you, there's so many different personalities. What might fit you doesn't fit me. What fits me, that's why working in a team works wonders. Because this great example, I call her frustrated and she goes, okay, let me handle it. She goes and handles it because I'm so frustrated that I gotta take care of this and that, and this is not resonating with me because I'm so my mind is occupied in something completely different, and she takes over, and el cliente nunca se enteró que atrás de la puerta it was like da. But we got it done. That's why it's really, really good to work in a team.
What do you
Let me
see in
ask you
the...
something.
No, go.
When they ask for your opinion, you give your honest opinion? Because you said you give your opinion when asked. You give your opinion when asked.
That's gonna depend on the personality of the client. Sometimes they'll test you. Sometimes they're testing. And I sometimes go over that saying, la que va a vivir aquí no soy yo. Esto te tiene que gustar a ti and your husband. Do you see yourself in the future here in the next 5 years? Because we all know that people last in their homes 5 years. Right now they move. It used to be 20, 30, 40 years, and that's not the norm now. People are usually either buying or staying in the home within the 5 years they move into a new home. So I'd go around that. Find a way around it. Now, if they're good friends of mine, I'm like, you're not buying this. But they have to be like good friends.
What do you see in value-wise for the luxury market? Do you see it because most of the agents here are from the 300 to the 800 price point, and that market is, has a lot of inventory, and some of the prices are fluctuated where they won't appraise. What do you see in regards to the luxury market? Are the properties being sold cash, typically with financing?
Both, but the typical home, Miami Beach, I give you this example because it's probably where we have the most inventory. In the beach right now, a luxury home, $20 million, is taking 484 days to sell. Just think about that. Initially, you get a listing agreement for a year, 6 months to a year, right? From the 300 to a 900,000, that's your bread and butter. That's a necessity. If the house is not selling, it's because it's overpriced. But that sells. It doesn't matter if it has to be gutted. You have to take that in consideration when you're pricing it. And that market, it's a buyer's market, pero total.
Yeah, I see that.
It's a complete buyer's market, and you just have to learn how to go with.
So over a year listing agreement on a $2 million house, more or less. And then
it should take me about 6 months to sell it, if I price it correctly.
if you price it correctly.
And the Gables or the Grove.
But you're saying in the beach and
In
stuff
the beach,
like
it's taking 484 days. We just did the numbers because I'm doing a video for statistics, and it's taking 484 days to sell. You know how long that is? to sell a house.
Condos and houses are more or less typical.
No, condos, ni te digo. Condos don't even get into that. I just fired a client because he was very unrealistic. And things are selling in the building. If it's worth 0.2, 0.7, they're selling for 2.1 because that's where it's gonna go. And that's where the market is. Condos you have to price them. Today we took pictures on this is a good friend of mine, and this is an example so you don't have the vision or the idea that I only do million and above. We just got a listing 2-2, super cute, Toscano in Kendall. It's a good friend of mine, wedding planner actually, very nice lady. She's getting married and she's selling her condo, $379,000. I went today, see it, and that condo will go on the market and will sell. She wanted $420. I said, no, it's never gonna happen. The person that's buying it can't afford $420,000. Once I put that into perspective, then she understood, and we're listing for $379,990. Y eso que le metí el listing agreement así, a ver si, si me decía algo, she didn't say anything. So, but that market is moving. Anything under $500,000 moves.
And you recommend to pre-fill the price before you
Depends on the client.
Depends on the client.
That depends on the client. I mean, if you're gonna go to the listing appointment and you're gonna take your booklet and all that, you don't put a price in there. Obviously, you leave it blank. Depending on the conversation goes, because the best listings are the ones that are signed on site. Hey, I'm ready to sign with you, da da da. But for the most part, you've already had a conversation with these people, or you already know them. So that's a different story.
Question.
So claro.
Okay. How would you say, what would be your best rebuttal, your best, the way you would attack, for example, how you, when you knocked on that door, let's say that was your first $20 million listing, what would be your rebuttal from that seller telling you, Marbo, I know Audrey Ross, I know someone else, Riley Smith, something like that. What are you going to do better than those agents that they have a proven track record of selling in this market?
They get me. I show the house. I have a team, and we all work together, but you get me. Anytime there's a showing, anytime there's a phone call, I'm the one that picks up, because they hire those people because they think those people are the ones that are going to take care of the house. Go show something for the Jills. Go show something for Audrey. They're there when the walkthrough is there, or not even. Or depending on the name of the client. Then they'll come because they know that if it's Fulanito de Chicago, que es a hedge fund guy from this one, then they'll come. For the most part. And if it's their listing, you never, not even at the open house. So my biggest rebuttal is, I have the energy, I have the time, I have the team. You get me, I'm full of ideas, and I want to work. I want you to help me sell your house because I want to work with you.
Client calls.
That's not it. Some gas. Questions, come on.
Question. You already said two of my questions.
Don't be shy to ask me. You can ask
Yeah, for real. Hey, listen, I know she's big time, but she's as humble as it gets.
Well, to be friends with you,
We had some good times at Douglas Hills.
Oh, I believe that.
Some good times.
I'll ask you one more thing. Listing appointment. Obviously, those sign on site are good. Do you take anything like what's your marketing material you take? Do you keep it simple or?
For the most part, I send them a pre-listing presentation via like Dropbox link or whatever, and I speak a little bit about the company, even though they know who the company is, but just briefly, and I give them a brief on their property, making sure that I have all my facts correct. So when I show up with like stuff that we do or like things that I've done in the past, so they see the quality of the things that I do. But for the most part, like you'll never see me with the iPad, and I take it because sometimes they want you to research numbers and stuff. But I most of the time I walk in and I can tell you the price of the home. This is worth this.
So you send it to them before you go, or right when you get there?
I send the pre-listing presentation. Doesn't have the listing agreement. Doesn't have any of that. In the folder that I take all my stuff, I leave it with them.
Yeah.
And then we start in a conversation. But again, that's all gonna depend on who the person is. But it's very rare that I go to a listing presentation where I don't know the people, or they haven't called me because of something that I sold. So they've already done their research on me, not the other way around. I don't do much cold calling, even though it's great. I don't like to be on the phone, or I hang up on all cold callers. So I'm sure I'm gonna get the same thing. But it works. these people were great at it. Gus is amazing at it.
Yeah.
He was on the phone like, no. I'm like,
Shy ladies. Don't bite.
The guys have asked more questions than you.
Women's round table.
I'm thinking.
you're gonna leave and then you're like, I should have asked her this.
For sure. I'll DM you.
70% of realtors are women, so you got a top producer here.
I know, we run the show.
Any struggles, anything you know?
I want to ask a question. You said that you're in a group. I'm sorry, I was late.
That's okay.
You said that you're in a group. How did you get into your group? Who started it? How did you decide who should be in your group?
She is the, I am.
No, I know, but how did you decide who were you, because do you let anyone into your group?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So how do you make that decision?
The thing is that it literally happened. I had an assistant. It wasn't working out. She became a buyer agent. So I was getting a lot of leads for buyers because I was spending money on Zillow. So I hired her as my buyer's agent. And then my sister goes to buy a house.
Yeah.
She went through that whole mission with me of finding her a house in Miami Lakes. And she got to deal with all the agents, like, Barbara, how do these people make money? How do they do this? And then she saw, like, kind of like what you can make. And then to trigger from that, I had a listing in Pinecrest that I needed to be shown, and I was having surgery that specific day, and that was my own buyer, and he wanted to see it that damn day. And she wasn't working with me yet. And I had to send a friend of mine, and I had to pay her. And I told her, I just gave this person $10,000 and they're gonna give you money.
And then also, we have a friend that was IT, he's completely different, which is a part of our team. And we almost went through the same thing in two different industries, except he had an IT company that he sold it to Citrix years ago. He kept working with that company. And in 2006, we actually quit our jobs the same year. We were like, screw this. Not even with none of this and the idea that we would get into real estate. And I would say at the beginning of last year, right, he would be like, Barbara, how about, because he's always like trying to reinvent himself. He's like, he doesn't ever think that he's ever too old to try something new. He's like, how about I get my license and I go work with you? And she's like, show me your license. It's true. He did that, he went through all that process, and one fine day, like I said, my husband's in construction, so I've always wanted to get somehow in the real estate world, interior designing. I'm having lunch with my husband and my bulb just clicked. I'm like, how about I get my license too? And of course, from her telling me, listen, you can help me do this and that, and you know, make more money because you're a team and you can broaden your horizons. And then my husband's like, that's a freaking great idea. Let's have a meeting, all of us together, and then with future goals in mind as well, probably including my husband in the future. So
our goal is to end up building. I want to build.
Right. So that's what happened. That's how we became a team. It wasn't like she was looking or.
Yeah. And if you're gonna go work for a team, make sure you don't work for someone. I mean, I'm the brand to my team, right? Because I've been doing this for so long. So people see me and they associate Barbara Estela, and I go with them and I go places. And the first thing I always do is, number one, I'm very proud of my sister, but besides that, she's my sister. She works for me too. Like, she's here. Like, it's not just me. Don't go working for someone that it's all about them. That happens a lot. Also, don't work for someone that wants to take most of your money. If they're giving you the lead, I get it, because they make all the pay. But if you brought that lead in for them to take the bigger cut, it's not fair. I work like that. But for the most part, if you're young and you're starting in the business, a lot of agents are gonna come to you, come help me, come help me, come help me, and you'll do 20,000 open houses. They'll sell the house. Probably the buyer that came in one of your open houses, they won't give you a penny. Be smarter about that. I have agreements and stuff in my company that if a buyer came that day, you get paid. Whatever it is that the agreement was, you get paid because you spent that whole day there, and that's only what's fair. So always work for someone that doesn't have that ego, which that's very common in this business. Everybody's like, I'm the biggest boss. And work for someone that is gonna work with you and is gonna, si hay que remar, they're gonna roll with you.
Everybody brings it.
We all roll together. I fell, how will I help you get up? Always make, that's very, very, I think that's very important. That's key to just life itself. It doesn't necessarily need real estate. So, you're welcome.
Another question.
Oh, well. How do you come up with these?
I don't know. It's just it comes to my mind. How would you say? I mean, some of these questions have the answers. I just want them to hear. What would you say in regards to the actual work from new school and old school tactics? What would you say you use as far as actual physical labor, such as door knocking, open houses, to actual techie stuff such as social media and stuff like that? What would you say? How do you work everything in? What would you say would it be 50-50, maybe more old school and then maybe a little bit of new school, or more new school and add some of the old school?
The only thing that doesn't change is people to people. Don't ever lose that. That's old school as old school is gonna get. Pick up the phone and make the phone calls. You know, if you got a tax and you're going to a deal, great. We're now incorporating the new techie. We're doing some different things because everyone's into videos and like I said earlier, everybody wants to know what you do. Not necessarily, this is the house, tutu, ta 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 ta. Talk about the neighborhood, talk about this. So I incorporate in my social media. For example, the other day, I went a little bit outside the realm, but it's not the norm for me. I was at an event where there was a huge football field. My friend goes, I bet you will run there. And I go, oh, I bet you I will. And I can't begin to tell you how many people commented and were like, oh my God, you run? I'm like, yes, people, I run. So, but that's incorporated with, you know, like the old school way of just calling people, making sure that you're there. You're not a computer. We're not there yet. So we still have to do that legwork and then incorporate it into YouTube, social media. You can get a lot of leads from Instagram if you work it correctly and you do it correctly and you do it organically. You can. I've gotten leads. I've sold a few condos out of Instagram. Just like, hey, how much is it? And it's usually other agents. You know, and keep a good. If you're gonna go that route, keep it classy. And put your asses on social media, please. I see so many realtors and I'm like, please don't do that. If you're gonna do that, do it on your private page. This is a different conversation. That's all branded.
What would you say? What would you say is your experience working with developers such as an actual building or a community?
Like selling for a developer?
Yeah, selling for a developer.
It's easy, super easy. You don't do anything and you get paid 6-7%. But you have to get the client. So the key is, how do you get the client? How do you get the buyer?
At the bar.
I want to buy that project.
How do you get the buy?
At the bar. You weren't here for that
No,
part of the conversation.
When I worked at Element, I used to sell a lot of pre-construction. You can tell you a lot. I made a lot of money working pre-construction, and I used to fly a lot to New York, which I'm starting to do so again. I've just been busy with like regular listings but for pre-construction, it's awesome. You don't do anything. You just have the client, you register him, and you get your payments in increments or whatnot. And it's great. It all depends. I mean, I don't know. Doral has a few now. The one that Mr. C's and the Grove now open, and they're paying 6%. And then in developments, if you sell like more than 2 or 3 units, you can tell the developer, I'll sell another unit, but I want 10%. I used to do that all the time. All the time. And you can negotiate, I want this, I want that. Because you're obviously, you're producing, you're selling for them.
Awesome.
What?
I said awesome.
I think we're good. She would like to go home.
I'm fine.
¿Qué gente se va?
My house, actually. I used to go a lot to Equinox. I still do every now and then. But right now, como me mudé a Coral Gables, the demographics and the logistics of where I used to walk to the gym, come home.
Yeah.
Now I hired a guy to come to my house to train me in the morning, because si no estaba yendo casi al gimnasio. But you have to me, training it's a huge if I don't train, me vuelvo loca, because what else?
Yeah.
That's my therapy. I've gone to 1,000 shrinks. That's the best therapy.
Yeah, so let's give Barbie a round of applause. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your Please, it was our honor. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And if anybody has a question, I mean, you can always message me on Instagram or Barbara Estela Realtor, or you can get my information from Chris. I'm more than happy to help. Sometimes people say, "Oh, can I ask you this question?" Can I ask me? If I'm busy at the moment, I won't answer, but for the most part, I always will answer. Thank you for having me on.
No,
It's a
thank
pleasure.
you.
And good luck to everybody. Make tons of fucking money.